The BOOcast synth of the month is the 1010 nanobox Razzmatazz.
Founded in 2016, 1010 Music's first products were the Blue Box digital mixer and recorder and the Black Box sampling studio, both big hits, and both can be described as compact in size, as they're fairly inobtrusive and acceptably portable. But clearly that wasn't enough, and so they unveiled their nanobox range. The granular yellow lemon drop and the wavetabley red fireball were soon joined by Razzmatazz, the pinkest, tiniest FM and sampling drum machine you've ever seen. But is it possible for an instrument to be too small? Is it possible for an instrument to be too pink? And can it be right and proper that I now need to wear magnifying sunglasses to make drum loops? I'll attempt to answer all this, but first, apologies if the video's a bit wobbly. The nanobox Razzmatazz is so tiny, the camera had to be zoomed in very far, so every movement's a bit magnified. Sorry.
So the 1010 nanobox Razzmatazz is a big mouthful, but it's incredibly tiny. There's an SD card for comparison. So what is it? Well, it's a drum machine. The thing to do is to press home. Here we find our presets. Now the presets contain all the drum kit information as well as the pattern information, and you just select them by going up and down like this. So let's choose one, load it, and then to play it you press on the time at the top right. So there we go, and then we get transport controls and we can start it. Ooh, there we go. Let's try another one, shall we? The Slammer Space Kit. Yeah, go on then. Let's try that. Okay, that's a bit less unbearable. And so while we're in here, we can go through various sequence parts. So you can load up to 16 sequences into each sequence. You can see what I mean, 16 patterns. These patterns can be, I think, arbitrary lengths, so you can make them, the standard is 16 steps, but you can go up or down as you wish. Okay, let's stop this. So it's an incredibly tiny little box, and there's an awful lot in here, and it's very much a question of like, where do you start from? The easiest way to navigate is through a thing called the teleporter, and you press and hold the home button. It basically gives you a little map, and hitting any of these pads will take you straight to the most important top page of what you're trying to do, generally. Let's go to the top left, pads home. So here we have our sounds. You select one. If you move forward one, you get a macro control. So we can play it by pressing this play button up here. And you can tune it. Get decay. And then there's bend control. Snap, which adds a little click at the beginning. Then we have a filter. It's absolutely tiny, so it's a bit of a pain to play with. And then there's some distortion. There we go. If we go further on, we get even more control of this sound. So in here there are two FM synthesizers. So there are two operators, so they're quite simple, but we can still play. Here we go. So we'll just change this to a noise. Let's go back and envelope 1. So we've got hold selected here, so we can turn that down and put the decay up a little bit. We'll try the other operator and we can tune it. So let's do that. You can tailor your sounds, and it's pretty deep. The macro control is very simple. I mean, you can see what's there. Now, each of the drum pads has a different model attached to it. So this one, in this case, is the kick. Let's go back to the snare, and we will look at that. And it's the snare model. So we do have several models here. Let's see, we've got kick, snare, closed hat, open hat, tom, sample. More of that later. So, yes, so if we just select the snare, load it, it gives you a basic sort of starting point for a snare sound. So here we got decay. We do have different snap types as well. We can have multiple snaps happening at the beginning of the sound. We seem to have noise on both of these. Let's go down. Here we go. Yeah, we're using noise on both of these. So let's put one into a sine. Body of the drum there. And we go back to pitch. Give it a little bit more. Yeah. EastEnders? Yes, of course. You can add a bit of distortion. Give it a bit of boof. Boof? Yes, bit of boof. And we see, if we wish, we can add a wav to this drum sound. So let's see what we've got. So in drums, we have one clap sample. Let's load that. Then it shows up. Tune it down. There we go, we got some sound there. We turn the filter on here. So there's the filter, we've got a low pass filter. Cut off. And they sound pretty good. Put a lot of resonance in there. So there's a bit of a faff getting from one place to the other. Take the resonance down a touch. In the filter section, we've got low pass, high pass, band pass, and notch. So it sounds pretty good. All of the sound gubbins in here is top notch. I mean, it's pardon the pun. It's very high quality DAs, DA converters, very high quality. Everything. The sample rate standard is 48, but it can go up to anything you like, and it's standard of 24-bit. Everything's sort of, even though it's tiny, it's very much built to be premium. It's quite a confusing thing because it's so small. It looks like Barbie's television or something like that, and yet there it is. And it's also, I mean, I think it's expensive. £400 for a tiny little slab of pink plastic. I mean, yeah, there we go. But let's continue. So back we go. And then when you get lost, and you do get lost, you press the teleporter button, takes you back to where you go. So we've been looking at the pads. Now also got a mixer. So the mixer only works when the pattern is playing. So let's... In fact, let's go back to pads. And let's do some things with these. Whoops. So now let's change this. There we go. So you can change the sounds while it's playing. Here we go. You can play along if you like, if you really want to. Yes, and the mutes, basically, as you saw, just allows you to chop them out. 8 sounds. You can hear there are effects going on here, so let's look at the press and hold the effects. Press and hold the effects. So we can select the amount of top one is to the delay, and the bottom one is to the reverb. You can do that with all of these. We've got access to all of that. We've also got press and hold again, the delays, so we can change the feedback of the delays. Put it up to full, why not? No, let's turn it down again. Filter on or off. Cut off of the filter. Frequency width of the filter. So I guess that's a kind of resonance control. Pretty good there. Ping pong on or off. Beat sync on, let's leave it on. Delay time 1/16. And there we go, that's it for the delay. Let's look at the reverb. So we got reverb, decay time. pre-delay selection. Let's turn it down to 0. Damping. In the mixer, so we can pan them around. And we've got level control. So it's just basically level and pan in the mixer. The effects there. Okay, great. So let's stop that. There are a couple of ways you can make new patterns on this. So the first way you can record a sequence is by going to the transport control, turning on the metronome, hitting record, going back to the pads, and you can just play it like this. Yeah, like that. There is another way of doing it, which is sequence home, go into the sequence, let's hit play again. Here we go, and here we have the super stepper. So this shows you what's going on over the whole thing. I'll just turn the metronome off. So, for example, if we select, we're in the high, in the hat there. So yes, we can select them there. So you can just add in and then you go forward to your snare. You can just drop everything in. It's quite an interesting way of doing it. Never really seen anything like this before. And there's a loop in there, but that's not activated. Anyway, so yeah. Stop. As you can see, that's kind of an interesting way of sort of working with the steps sequences where you can got everything in position all the time and you just move between the instruments and add them in as you go. I don't know how useful that is, but I mean, it's interesting. And there it is. Yeah, classic. Casio PT30 drum pattern there. So to get a sample into here, you plug a stereo mini jack into the line in and connect that to whatever you plan to sample. I'm going to be using something from this very old WAV player. We'll go back and we'll select pads home. We'll go forward. So there's no sample in here. Now, according to the manual, you click add WAV, then you click right, which gets you into the recording area. And that's what I'm going to sample in. Turn it up a little bit. And there's a little... No, we don't want to go into the red, so let's just have it just before there. So we go down to record threshold. We can either have that off or on. Let's turn it on, so it's waiting for the sound to go above a certain level before it records, which is great. Let's go back here and we will just record. So it's not recording yet until we hit play. Stop it. See what we got. And back in home. There it is. So we can go into we've got hold here. Let's just go forward. Envelope 1. Let's turn the hold down and the decay up. Well, that's a very silly sound, isn't it? But don't forget, we can also add to this. We can also add a waveform. Let's put it back to a sine. We can tune it. Back in the macro, we can... Well, that's interesting, isn't it? Let's give it a bit of this. So the bend, all the controls in the macro apply to the FM synthesizers and the sample at the same time. It's very silly. There we go. So let's go to effect sends. Let's go into the delay. Turn into ping pong. Let's go back to pad. Let's change the pitch. Let's go actually into that pitch, and we'll just hit the metronome and in the play controls we've got swing. Let's go back into the pads. Go back here to effect sends. Let's put a bit of reverb on that. Let's change the reverb a bit, make it a bit shorter. Bit of pre-delay. So there it is, the 1010 nanobox. A tiny little pink thing. I'm not sure how I feel actually. Feels a bit willful, the fact that they've made it so small. Actually, the one complaint I have is, could you make it a bit bigger please? It's tiny and maybe a little bit less expensive. But hey, there we go. And that is that. Thank you for watching. Blah, 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 blah.